Welcome to BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we're going to be answering about that team in our August 17th preseason preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom, and tonight, Dan, we're going to be talking about the Forsan Buffaloes, a team that really enjoyed quite a season last year, an impressive outfit.
Yeah, coming off a great season, 10-2 last year. They do have a lot of new faces this year. They've lost – just a second. Yeah, coming off a great season. They went 10-2 last year. They will have a lot of new faces this year. They lost a really strong senior class that was a really instrumental group in kind of getting that program to the heights that they reached last year. Just 11 lettermen back from last year's team, 4 offensive and 5 defensive starters. The one good thing is I think that Coach Jason Richardson has kind of gotten his program back to a point to where they do feel like they have more of a capability of kind of reloading as opposed to rebuilding when these sorts of graduation losses hit. They've got a good group of JV kids coming up from a 6-3 team, had a really nice season last year. So I think they feel like they have an opportunity to be pretty good. They will have to figure out some things at the skill positions. They've got a lot of offensive linemen back, a lot of defensive linemen back. I think they feel really good about kind of how they'll play up front, but they're going to have to replace a lot of playmakers, and that'll kind of be the key. I think that's a big question for them, is kind of who are going to be the guys that make the plays for them on both sides of the ball.
One thing, when you get a young ball club that can kind of compensate for that, is if you get a push up front. And offensively, they've got some size up front. They've got a couple of good offensive linemen in Ketcher Dawson and Weston Thomas coming back. They've got a big kid in Colden Averett who's 6', 290. They should be able to get a push up front, which relieves a lot of pressure off of young skill people.
Yeah, and another one, Nolan Park's been a great player for him for years as well up front. So this team, I think, is in a really good spot on the lines. The question is, again, kind of who are going to be the guys that make the plays behind those guys, because they did lose a really good group of kids who have done a lot of special things for them, but they're not without talent. Cade Wallace is a kid that'll probably take over at that quarterback position that is a really good athlete. Kevin Clagore is a young kid who played a lot as a sophomore last year. He's going to be a key player for him at the running back position. I think that Coach Richardson's really excited about what he can bring. So they have some kids that have those abilities. It's just going to be their first chance really kind of step into those roles, and that's going to be neat. I think that's part of I think the intrigue of coaching high school football, of following high school football, is kind of seeing the next group come in, the next man up, and that's kind of something you have to be able to do if you want to sustain a program. And I think that Forsan feels like they're at a place now where they've got that capability, and we're going to see this year. It's going to be a big test for them.
Only 11 returning lettermen, but they did have a pretty solid JV team last year. That group of JV went 6-3 against a very tough schedule. So, and I know Coach Phillips likes that JV group. So they'll have some kids coming up. The cupboard's not empty by any stretch of the imagination. Graduation hit them hard, but the cupboard is not empty. They've got just a lot of young talent.
Yeah, and I think that their schedule plays out in a way that it's not overwhelming, particularly when you look in that district. There's a lot of quality teams, but nobody that just kind of jumps off the page as being unbeatable. And they're going to be able to prepare for that schedule with, I think, a really good, tough non-district schedule. They open the year, as they always do, against Coahoma. This one's at Big Spring, as it often is. Then they come home to play Post, come home to play Stanton, go finish out the non-district with road games against McCamey and Kermit before opening their district schedule. So I like this non-district slate. It gives them an opportunity to be tested before they open district. And then in district, it's going to be a lot of tests, a lot of teams that are quality teams. There aren't very many, pushovers, but I don't think there are many dominant teams either.
No, I like the schedule. I like the district that Forsan is in. I think this is a district that offers them several winnable ball games, even though they're young. Again, it's going to be, can they get the push up front and relieve the pressure off their young skill people? I think they're going to do fine, but there are several very winnable games on that schedule, and you got to like that for a young team.
For sure. And we'll go down the line there. On October 7th, they host Reagan County, following that with a road game at Anthony. That's going to be a fun trip. Then they come back home to play Cristoval, back home to play Ozona, and they finish up the regular season at Sonora. So like you said, some tests, but some winnable games. And that Anthony that Anthony matchup is one that's going to be a haul. There's no good way to Anthony.
No, there's no quick way to Anthony. And you want to talk about bus lag.
Yeah.
I don't envy anybody that has to go all the way out there for that, but what are you going to do? It's no fun, but you got to go.
No. And looking at that schedule, looking at some of the games of the year, I think that they finish with 3 big ones. Obviously, you go to the big one at Cristoval. I think Cristoval is kind of viewed as the district favorite in that league. And then you've got games against Ozona and Sonora to wrap up. I think all 3 of those games are going to be big in deciding if this Forsan team makes the playoffs and kind of how highly they can be seeded.
If they win a 3 or 4 seed, I think they can lock that up in the first 2 games. Reagan County and Anthony, if they can win those ball games, they're going to lock up a playoff spot. If they want a 1 or a 2 seed, then the important ball games become Cristobal and Sonora. Those ball games there, especially Cristobal at home, if they can hold serve and beat Cristobal at home, that's going to put them in very good stead. It's going to put them in a very good position to probably snag the number 1 seed. Ozona is up and down. They're sketchy, but it's going to be at home. So that's going to help. And then a road date at Sonora is always, that's scary.
Sonora's one of those teams. Yeah, Sonora's one of those teams that's always tough. Even when their record's not great, that's a tough team to play. That's a team that's had some success over the years and kind of, like I said, is always a toughie. But I think this is going to be a fun district. I think you look at it, there's going to be a lot of parity in this district because I don't think there's any team that just jump off the page as being so much better than everyone else. And I don't think there are many teams that are kind of below that group either. So I think you're going to have a lot of really competitive games. And this is going to be one of those districts where every week you got to show up and play.
All right, and with that, it's just about time to wrap up this installment of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Forsan Buffaloes. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we've got 3 separate subscription packages here at BigCountryPreps.com. We've got a monthly for $5 a month. We've got a semi-annual 6-month subscription where we knock that price down to $4 a month. And we've got an annual 12-month subscription where we knock that price down to $3 a month, $36 for a full year of Big Country High School athletic coverage. And please note that inflation or not, our prices have stayed the same here.
We'd also like to remind you one more time before we close out this episode of our Countdown series to be on the lookout for our Big Country Preps preseason football preview, which once again will be released on Wednesday, August 17th. Just going to be a ton of area football content. You do not want to miss that. In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series, and make sure you join us again tomorrow, and we will be featuring the Anson Tigers here at BigCountryPreps.com.